The title of this tutorial video is How to Build a Presentation Graph within Cortex. Presentation graphs are a way to display numerous kinetic and kinematic outputs within Cortex as a graphical display. For this, we have a pre-recorded trial loaded into PostProcess with a data view displaying a top and bottom display. Within our top display, we have selected our 3D view and selected an empty bottom view within our lower display. We have selected our lower portion of the data view, and that is apparent by the orange highlight around that data view portion. And this can be changed in a numerous amount of ways. We can utilize the hotkey in order to bring forth our presentation graph window, or within the toolbar we can select Data Views Presentation Graphs to display so. The hotkey F10 is just to the right and can be used at any time to display this window as well. In order to bring forth and change our graph, we then would right-click within our presentation graph window, which brings forth our graph layout window. From here, we can change the title page name to knee flexion, as that's what we will be analyzing for our example. And we can also display a name change to show on the graph. When changing the name to graph 1 to knee flexion, we now will display knee flexion on our graph. By selecting the plus sign just to the left of knee flexion, we then will bring forth our series, where we can see we have no data variable assigned to this graph. In order to assign a data variable, we'll select our 3 dots just to the right, which brings forth another window that says Data Variable Selectors. For our example, we will be using a segment variable and a segment rotation in order to do so. We then press a plus sign just to the left of that, and then we'll need to select our marker sets that we are using for analysis within the first two dropdowns. The dropdowns below to the left, where it says select a segment, will be used as our parent segment. For our example, we will use our right thigh. And then our reference segment needs to be set as our right shank, as this would display our knee flexion. We are analyzing this within the x-axis with a rotational order set to ZYX, and by selecting the check sign, we then can display our graphical output for knee flexion across the whole trial, seen here and below. These can be changed and adapted as needed based off of any of the variables within the data variable selector. Within Cortex, we can also display pre-saved and preloaded graphs. For this, we will be opening up our gate graphs, which are set within Cortex under the Helen Hayes marker set under the user files graphs folder. For this, we then can display certain parameters based off of gate outcomes, very common gate outcomes in this. For this, we can display our hip flexion, where we can show our hip adduction, abduction, joint angle in this graphical display below. We can also display other features or other outputs from Cortex based off of kinematics, but these have not been calculated yet. And this is apparent based off of clicking through the screens and seeing no forces calculated. In order to calculate forces, looking in the lower left-hand corner of Cortex, we have 3 checkboxes, VM, skeleton, and kinetics, that would need to be checked. And in order to calculate, we will select the Calculate button just below so. As we do that, we then can see our graphical display of forces being displayed within our presentation graphs window. We can also see that the summation of forces has been added up as well through our ground reaction force, and this is also displayed within our gate graphs window. These gate graphs do run off of SkyScripts, and SkyScripts is the way to use and utilize coding within Cortex in order to come up with specific outputs. Within our gate graphs, we then see our script file displayed above, and if we select the 3 dots just to the right, we then can bring forth our SkyScript selector in order to select a specific SkyScript that we want to use for analysis. For this, we are using our ground reaction force.sky, But in order to see how SkyScripts are calculating, we want to bring forth our SkyScript window. Within Tools, Sky, we then can bring forth that window. And for my example, we have used our KinTools RT Helen Hayes marker set, and we are displaying our ankle joint angle SkyScript, which goes through the process of analyzing the joint angle and the other numerous amounts of SkyScripts that can calculate other functions.